Hello, I am, as always, the lovely Jessica Haynes, and I am joined, as always, by the most lovely.
Emma Jackson, hello. We've not
Hello.
introduced ourselves in terms of reading and writing romance books for a while, but I think that's
I
kind of a
think
given at this point, isn't it?
I'd hope so. If it's not, then what
Yeah,
are we doing?
yeah, yeah. If you're brand new and you've decided to jump in at episode 2 of season
Yeah,
5,
season 5.
we, as well as reading lots of romance books, we also write them too. So
We
that,
do.
yeah, we
We do. We
try
don't just
to.
review. We've got an idea of
Yes,
things. We're not just here telling people
yeah.
things and we don't have a clue.
Well, I don't know about the
Or we're
clue,
just
but
blagging it. Yeah,
yeah.
we're blagging it really well.
Yeah. I think it kind of important when you're chatting about loads of other people's work that you've got an experience of doing it yourself.
Yes.
Because not
Yeah,
only
you
does
have
it
an idea
help
of,
your, I think both of us have said like it's helped in how we analyze story and stuff like that. We've learned a lot
yes,
doing the podcast, but also you have like that empathy for story and things like that, and what's
yes.
difficult sometimes, and
Yeah.
looking at it and going, wow, that's actually really hard. It looks really easy, which is typical of romance. I think the easier a romance seems, the
Mm.
harder it probably was to write.
Yeah, and if you pick up any newspaper, you'll get somebody with a big stick wanting to give romance a bashing.
Yeah,
So we are here to
yeah,
celebrate it all, but we are here for the fantasy side because that's what we do.
yeah,
But
that's
all
it.
romance is sacred. So yeah, here we are, week 2, and we are back on the tropey goodness.
Yeah, and it
And
kind of, yeah, that makes sense saying about like championing all romances, because this is not my favorite go-to for
right,
romance, but I can still find stuff I enjoy. So
yes,
yeah, it'll be
we'd hope
interesting.
so with the
Yeah,
multiples available to you,
there's a lot out there. Yeah, there's so
especially on
much
each book.
choice in why choose. It's
Mm,
even more of
why
that.
choose? There is. Yeah, it's something I stumbled upon a while ago. So some of mine
Hmm.
are a little bit older than
Oh,
others.
oh,
But yeah,
that's
it's
cool.
become a lot more notable these days
Yeah,
that
yeah,
it's, yeah.
definitely. All right, we'll do the intro and then I might ask you some questions about that because I wondered. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, just about like how you got into it because I only did because you recommended it
Yeah.
to me. So here we go.
Yes, let's start off as we go. So do you want to ask away first then?
So like, how long have you been reading sort of why choose books for?
Oh,
Like,
ages. Okay.
long time. Have they
Yeah.
been readily available for a long time? Because I
Oh,
guess it's like
yeah, I
they're
think
really
so.
popular now, aren't
Yes. Yeah,
they?
everything is all there now. So, okay, I don't know how I don't know whether to go down that route, but I will. So I was into it when it was RH, which was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
original
Hmm.
name, which was
Hmm.
reverse harem, which is, if you know your history of things, it's
Mm.
one chap, many wives,
Yeah.
is the harem. So that's what they called
Hmm.
it. And then political thoughts on it, it's not really the greatest name in the usage of the word.
Mm.
So yeah, it has been given a much better name for it. So yeah, it was quite a few years back that I kind of stumbled upon one and went, oh,
Mm.
okay,
Yeah.
what's this? How is it going to work?
Did you get confused? You started reading and you were like, hang on, but I
But
thought
you're
this
supposed
was
to
the
be
love
with
story, but
that one.
oh, that one
Yeah.
too. Oh, okay
Oh, and
then.
then there's a
So
third one coming in.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, more's the merrier.
this is it. You kind of. I'm not going to even get into what my brain was just saying then, because it will come later. So we'll just go with it.
No.
No,
Oh dear. The puns galore in
there
this
will
one,
be. There
isn't
really
there?
will be.
Oh dear.
So
Right.
okay, so let's go with what we did last week. Do you have three
Mm.
or do you have more?
I have three. I
Okie
do have
dokie.
three. Yeah.
So if I go first, because I do have a fourth mention,
Ooh, okay.
though it is only a slight mention because you can't read it at
Mhm.
the minute and you might not be able to read it till after all of the podcasts are out.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Go on
Yeah.
then.
Okay, so
Let's hear your
okay.
first one.
My first one is an early one that I read, and so I went through my choices because I had many, and I went for quantity to go with my first one.
Okay.
Not over quality, just that's what I decided. I went for
Quantity
quantity.
of people, quantity of books, all of the above.
People. Quantity
Okay.
of people.
Jeez,
So
how
my
many
first
did
is
it?
Alison's Adventures in Underland by C.M. Stunich.
Yeah,
So
okay.
yeah, from the title alone, you can kind of
Hmm.
have a gist where this is going.
Yeah.
So we have Alison, who is a girl who is very bookish, as she would be
Yeah.
with who she is. Um, and she's had a lot of bits and pieces going on in her life. I will say now, many triggers, many contents. It's quite dark in places,
Yeah.
and there's lots of traumas and stuff. So go if you are
Okay.
going to read it, go through all of the
Hmm.
contents and stuff for me on it. But yeah, the gist is that she's there, she's very bookish, lots of things have gone on. She's got a younger sister who wants to go out and just enjoy things a little bit with all the bits that have gone on. So she goes to this house party with her sister. There's a chap there called Brandon who she's like, you know what, I've got a bit of a crush on Brandon, so I'll take me book with me. Any good reader, stick me Kindle in me bag.
Yeah.
Goes, finds him out in the garden and sort of sits down to have a bit of a chat with him, and he's really quite aloof and off, and he's never been like that before. And he
Oh.
kind of dashes off into the woods. So she's like, okay, he's a bit weird, but give him a
Picturing it.
chase.
I love the way you describe these books. The images that go through my head. It's just she's just sat there with him and like and then he
Yeah,
just runs off. Just,
well, this is it.
gone.
So yeah, and then she Benny Hills after him. Um, I shouldn't say that because what happens next? She goes
Yeah.
after him, sort of hides in the bushes to see what's going on. And then this dude who looks like a rabbit with a pocket watch and big white ears,
Okay. Yeah.
grabs a gun and shoots Brandon in the face.
Jeez.
So yeah, it
Wow.
goes
Oh, bye
really
bye,
dark,
Brandon.
really quick. Yeah.
Is it bye bye,
So
Brandon, or does he come
yeah,
back?
yeah, Brandon.
Oh, he's
Brandon's
gone.
gone.
He's gone.
Yeah,
Oh, he's
Brandon's gone.
aloof anyway. Fuck him.
Yeah, he
Fuck
was
Brandon.
very much yeah, bugger you off. So
Legging it
yeah,
into the woods, that'll teach him, wouldn't it?
yeah. So against anybody's better judgment, she decides to run after this rabbit dude and falls down a hole,
Okay.
as she does. But
Men
it's kind of
holes.
yeah, as we do. But yeah,
Sorry. I'm sorry.
it's all good. But yeah, as she's falling down this hole, so I've not read the books. I'm not a classics person, so I've not read the originals, but
Okay.
I've
No,
seen all the
no.
Disney stuff and all of the everything
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
gone.
yeah.
So it's very different to that. There's like formaldehyde creatures floating past her
Oh,
and rifles and
wow.
bones,
Yeah, yeah.
and she kind of hits the floor and goes out and finds a little door. The white rabbit has gone. And there's just broken glass everywhere. So he's knocked all of the drink me bottles over. But no fear, because there are two naked men sat on the side who are twins with eat me and drink me labels around their necks. And you
Wow.
know where that has to go. So basically,
It writes itself, doesn't it,
oh, it
really?
really does. It's so funny. But yeah, it goes very dark as well. But yeah, so we'll go through the motions a bit quicker. There are 4 books in this series, and you have
Yeah.
to read all of the books to get the entire plots of everything. But yeah, so basically, this is Tweedledum and Tweedledee, who are T and D, and
Yeah.
she's not going to drink from them, as any self-respecting girl would not first meeting. But each their own, no shaming. I just did, sorry, but yeah, each to your own.
It's one of those things
Yeah.
you say the thing and then you catch
I
yourself
say it and I'm like, actually,
do you know
each
what?
to their own.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fine.
If I was faced with that dilemma after falling down a rabbit hole with a dude with ears who's just shot somebody I fancied in the face, and there's a tiny
I
little
don't think
door.
I'd be in the mood
No,
personally.
but yeah, I wouldn't judge you, I suppose. So
This is
sorry if I
it.
did.
People react to that kind of scenario in different
Yeah,
ways,
very
I'm
different ways.
sure.
But yeah, so she peeks through this door and sees the white rabbit is through there, and there is a chap who's got bright red hair who has hearts all over him, and he is the king of hearts.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know what? I'm not going through there. We are going to go the long way round, because yeah, she's got to get through to this white rabbit, see what the hell's going on. So
Yeah.
D and T go with her, and then basically it is going through Underland, and along the way she meets all the characters. They are
Okay.
easily named. So Rab is the white rabbit. Red is the king of hearts. Who else do we have? I did write them down.
got Mad
North
Hatter.
is the Duke of Northumbria.
Hmm.
La is the caterpillar,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
so forth and so on. Who's the
Yeah.
Hatter? The Hatter's got a name. The Hatter actually came from Earth, so it's topside
Oh,
and
okay.
underside. So
Hmm.
he's a vampire, the Mad Hatter is. There
Yeah.
is the March Hare, who is March. And
Hmm.
basically, Alice, there's a prophecy that's gone around that Alice, who is Alison, will come and save Underland. So it used to be run
Right.
as like a matriarchy, so the women were in charge, but stuff has gone
Yeah.
on, and all of the women have either died or been turned into men. So everything
Right.
is off kilter.
Oh,
So
wow.
the
Yeah.
Alice is going to come and
Hmm.
save everyone, and she has 9 men who will help her
9.
save the world. So she is, yeah.
Wowza.
Mm.
Yeah. That's a
There are
few.
9 of them. And yeah, it just kind of it gets quite dark as she goes around. So she has a Mad Hatter's tea party at one point, and
Hmm.
they all drink tea, but the tea is basically laced with drugs.
Right.
So they're
Yeah.
all kind of
Hmm.
having these drinks, and they're all getting slower and slowly more off their heads with things, and they're starting to have these like truth or dare games, and
Yeah.
it's just very well done. But yeah, you
Wow.
kind of find out all of the stories about how these people have gone mad, and they've all got really
Hmm.
super interesting backstories about why they're like the Alice and what
Okay.
she's going to do for them and how their life changed because of what happened, and how her coming and fulfilling the prophecy, because obviously she's got a family back home. She's got
Hmm.
her sister and her dad. Her brother was murdered, so that's obviously caused a hell of a rift and a problem. Her brother was murdered by people who tried to assault her, so her mum went
Mm.
out and killed them all.
Oh,
So her
wow.
mum is in
Yeah.
prison. So there's a hell of a lot of things going
That's a
on in this.
lot going on.
This is another one of those
Hmm.
things when you're like, you have so many of these threads. So you've not
Yeah.
only got 9 suitors who all have a backstory that is
Mm.
linked to what happened within the world, and something's
Hmm.
then going to go on, and then Alice will help save them and
Yeah.
Underland to become Wonderland again. Cheshire
Hmm.
Cat, totally lost my head. He's there too.
Okay.
And he
So
brings her
is
dead
it
creatures. So funny. He brings
brilliant?
her baskets of dead things, and she's like, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So is it a book per relationship or
No, no, no.
it
So
just
you
kind
need to,
of,
yeah, you
yeah,
need to go through each book to kind of get further into the story. So she
yeah.
meets the first lot, and
It's
then
like
there's the next lot.
sardines. The next one
Yes.
comes and
And
they're
then,
just
yeah, the next
all
one.
piling up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So each
I
place
see
she
it.
goes to, so she goes and meets some pirates who are kind of the eagle and stuff, and then she goes along and finds out that the walrus and all of the other creatures are quite bad guys. There's a mocking turtle, I
Okay.
think, and they're all the bad guys, and they have an anti-Alice that's been created who is kind of
Oh,
black and white, very
wow.
monochrome, and who is then
Hmm.
there. They want to power up the anti-Alice to keep destroying
Hmm.
the world, take all the power from the King of Hearts, and yeah.
It sounds like one of those like horror films you'd find. Do you know
It
what I
is
mean? Like,
quite, yeah,
sort
when you
of
get to the
that,
next bit, very
yeah,
jumpy.
one of those surreal, which is in line with like Alice in Wonderland. I think I've not read the books either,
No.
but from what I hear, they are meant to be a bit darker, like kind of like the original fairy tales and stuff. It's
Mm.
got that kind of twisted, dark element to it.
Well, yeah,
Which,
when
you
you
know,
kind of think about it, so it takes part from the story that as I know it, with like
mm,
so one of them, North, is a shifter. He transfers into a Jabberwocky. So that's
hmm,
kind of his form. And there's
yeah,
Bandersnatches, which are the rabbits take a Bandersnatch form,
hmm,
and they have other forms that they can take. So yeah, it's kind of when you think of all the evil things that are within Wonderland, within the books,
yeah.
you can easily create a story like this. And
Yeah, well, that's it. It's all very scary, and she's out of her element, and
mm.
just weird stuff going on. No one, even in the Disney film, no one's particularly friendly, are they?
No, this is it. So some of the plants will talk. They've got like fairies
Mm.
embedded in them, and because they're from that
Yeah,
level, they can see
that's
like upper dress
interesting.
and stuff, and they're quite right.
Yeah, it has got that like Fae element. Whenever you've got fantasy stories with the Fae, and it's that idea of it that they're otherworldly, but you have no way of knowing whether they're going to be kind or they're going to be trying to
This
trick
is it.
you and just, yeah, do horrible things to you.
Yeah.
Mm,
Well,
always
there's a
keeps you a little bit
yeah,
unnerved.
on edge. Well, this is it, and there's a
Mm.
few women in there, and the character is in theory human. Everybody else is
Yeah.
a monster or a creature or something, and there's a few women, and she's like, well, I don't want to alienate you because that's not what we do, so let's befriend all the women. And some of the women start turning into the evil things, and then the men start being the good things, and then the other women start being
Yeah.
the good things, and it's just kind of,
Ooh,
yeah,
wowza.
lots of twisty turnies. So yeah,
That
again, to
is,
write this, it's just
yeah.
crazy,
That is
but very
definitely a
good.
lot to sink your teeth into if you want to like
Mm.
really get into it.
Yeah, you need time. You need time when you read
Yes.
this. It's not just
Yeah.
to sit down and
Uh-huh. Yeah, not one of those fast ones to just zip through.
yeah, just yeah, no, there's a time and a place for it. I have a feeling, I was glancing through my Kindle, that there might have been an updated something for when it's all finished.
Oh,
Because they
okay.
do at some point later in the books,
Yeah.
they come through the looking glass. She wants to go back and see her family,
Oh, yeah.
and then everything comes back to us, to now, to the
Yeah.
top side. So it's very good.
Oh, fabulous. Um, okay. So
Can you beat
shall I do mine?
9?
Yeah. No, not at all. I think all of
That's the
mine
most I
are
think I've ever had.
I think one of mine is a series. Um, the first one I've got is part of a world. So it's
Mm.
not the that book is a standalone on its own, and other books I think they're either a standalone or there's two of them. So it's a Kathryn Moon one,
Ah,
which we kind of we were talking about this when we were just looking at all of the books we've covered, and
yes,
we've mentioned Kathryn Moon a fair few times, but we've never
yes.
actually really spoken about anything that she's written at length.
No, yeah,
Um,
I'm very glad you have, because she's very
yeah,
good. Go to.
that's it. Well, that was the first one I read was the one you recommended me, which was The Lady of Rooksgrave Manor.
Yes. Mm.
And yeah, that was my first sort of why choose one. But this one isn't. I've gone on to read other ones, you see.
Mm.
This is Bad Alpha by Kathryn Moon. Have you read that one?
I believe I have, yes.
Hmm. So when you're also in the world of why choose, you'll come across Omegaverse too.
Hmm.
And she writes some that are in Omegaverse as well as monster romances and stuff. And I think I've stumbled more into that. And you might even find that Omegaverse seems to like crisscross a little bit into paranormal romance as well. You get a lot of similar elements when you've got shifters
Yes.
because it's like based on the alpha, beta, omega hierarchies and
Yes.
packs and scent things. But with Omegaverse, it's like that's kind of like the only element of it that's fantasy. Other than that, the world is pretty normal. Sometimes they're shifters as well, but not always.
No, it does seem to, yeah, you get kind of
Yeah,
one or the other, don't you, really?
that's it. So in Bad Alpha, what is different to a lot of Omegaverse is that you're usually focused on an Omega, and that can be a female or a male. Um, but generally the alphas tend to be male, whether or not the Omega is female or male. And this one, we have a female alpha. And so it's Eve, and she's basically like Black Widow. You know,
Mhm.
she's like an assassin. She's on a job, and she's been asked to do this contract on an Omega who is in a bar, and she doesn't know why. She's not interested. She's just there. She's very cold. She doesn't have a pack. She's never been part of that. Um, but when she gets there, she sees the Omega, and he's a bit of a grifter, and he's already sizing up like another alpha, and she comes in, and he what he does is he kind of tricks her into biting him and bonding with him because he knows she's there to kill him. He knows he's got a contract out on him. He's been on the run. He's about to go into heat, which is the time when he will be putting out the most amount of like his pheromones, and then the alphas around him will go crazy. And he uses that to his advantage because once she's bitten him, she then has just a biological need to protect him at the
Mhm.
same time. And it was such a really interesting dynamic because, yeah, she doesn't want to do it, but she does it anyway because she can't help it. He doesn't want to be bitten by an alpha. He wants
No.
to be on the run. He doesn't want to be anywhere near an alpha, really, because he's had a traumatic upbringing as well. But it's his only option at this point in order to not. And, you know, he's quite lucky because she's badass. So when people are
Yeah, I was
coming
gonna
after him
say.
still, now they're after her. And she's kind of like, oh, okay, right, I'm going to have to do this thing.
Gonna kick ass and take
Um,
names.
yeah. But they've also got like this very reluctant, not trusting each other. They're both kind of loners and feral. And he is, yeah, she learns to respect his survival instinct as much as she resents what he's done. She respects the survival instinct and the way he will try to con people and use the tools at his disposal. He has a bigger overall plan. The reason these people are after him is because he's looking for his sister, who is also an Omega, and there's like trigger warnings for things. There's like trafficking that goes on of Omegas. So what she does is Eve is adamant Eve. They even mentioned that. It's so funny. She goes to find an old contact that she helped out once, which links in when I was saying it's part of a bigger world. A lot of people really love these books, Lola and the Billionaires or Millionaires.
I was going to say millionaires. It could be, yeah.
They're billionaires these days, but
Yeah.
millionaires maybe. Millionaires good enough.
You wouldn't say no, would you really?
Especially if it's more than one,
Yeah.
know.
Several millionaires?
Yeah, there's 2 books, but she goes to see them and they send her to like be helped by this group of like, you know, guns for hire kind of thing. And it's this group of 3 that are already kind of a pack. And there's these different bonds that happen between them all. But there's like really exciting action pieces, and I love the way it ended in the just because they kind of form a pack, they don't lose themselves. There's like different elements that improve, and she has a lot of development along the way. But they're still very much themselves and those badass characters. And I really enjoyed it. It was very different to other ones I've read. And I think that's one of the great things about it, isn't it? I think particularly Kathryn Moon ones that I read. I love how she explores the different dynamics between all of the people that are involved.
Well, yeah, this is it. You kind of, obviously not just in books with people, you know, you have what I do, that you have groups of friends that you do this with, or people that you get on more with this sort of thing. I have friends from school that I've known even longer. And yet just to think that there are so many different types of people, and you can then see this main character, whoever they are, whichever gender or whatever's going on creature wise, you can see how they interact with each different person. It brings out the protective side, or the nice side, or the sullen side.
There's like, it offers this opportunity to see a character as a very well-rounded and like contradictory character. With some people, they might want to be a more dominant person, and with other people, they might be more submissive, and not just like sexually, just like just in terms of how they get along, and they might just want comfort from somebody else because it works with that person, but with somebody else it doesn't. It's I like that. It's interesting.
Yeah, this is it. You know, it isn't just all about I keep saying it, I'm going to try and get it into every episode now. It's not just the any hole a goal sort of thing. It is just bringing out all the different sides of you. So I do love them. So I have a book. So this one, so this is my link. So I didn't mean to do this.
Okay.
But I did anyway. So all of my books are part of a series, and you have to read the series in order to get to the end of the group.
You did that on purpose.
I didn't. But it makes sense because of how many people you have within your
there's me
couple, quadruple.
Just recommending like a standalone in a world where there's like 3 other books that come before it, but you don't need to read the other books.
10 books within
and you must
one
read
podcast.
Them all.
Yes, obviously. Okay, so this one is It's Rejected Mate, which is part of the Feral Shifter series by Callie Rose. And again, she does lots of different Why Choose books, but this one is obviously Shifters. And we start with Amora, who is in her pack. There's, again, with most things, they've had some ups and downs over the past. They've had some fights with witches. They've lost some people. They've gained some people. But at present, she's in not a bad place. And she decides one night she's going to go out, have a bit of a drink, goes to the local bar and happens to meet her fated mate. And this dude is Kian. And kind of, across the room, they know each other. And they end up going back to his hotel, getting down and dirty with it. And as she's drifting off to sleep, she's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to wake up and everything now is going to be how it should be. That's kind of, as it is. Fated mate, they're perfect. Yeah. And she wakes up and he's gone. So, that's it. She's just like, damn. But then she goes back, and then I seem to have a lot of prophecies in this. She meets an old witch who gives her a prophecy that she will have to kill her mates. And she's like, okay, not one, several. So she decides to go out and she's gonna make sure this doesn't happen. So she goes out with the intention of finding however mates she has and getting them gone, killing them all, or trying to stop them from doing what they're doing, whatever it is. But she thinks basically at the end of the day they are going to have to die. It's them or me. So she spends 2 years on the road trying to find them, and it just happens when she's kind of at a point in a bar. She's been traveling for so long, it's kind of at the end of her tether, and then Kian turns up again. And then that's it. She's then after him, and then all the fighting and the chasing ensues. She goes after him. He loses her after quite a lot of fighting battles, motorbike chases and all sorts. She goes back to her room and then wakes up in the middle of the night with these weird shadows everywhere, and a dude stood in the corner of the room.
Right.
And she can't fight these shadows. Put your hand through and they just go straight through. But this chap can, and he's covered in like tattoos and stuff, and it's like he's at one with them. Basically they get the shadows out, he runs, they both get attacked by one of these shadows and get like bitten by them, so to speak. They get infected by them and they start going really weak, and she kind of passes out, and then she wakes up and there's 3 men above her. Keen, she knows. Blondie, who is Frost, is there, who was lurking in her room. And then there's a third dude who is Malix, who is there, and he's the cocky crafty one, so he's the go-to one for all the quips and stuff. And basically she now, with the intent to go out and kill them, she now has to change everything on its head, because without them she can't find the antidote to whatever's attacked her, and she's then going to die herself. So she has to team up with the men she's going to kill, and to try and save herself. And then as it goes through the books, they finally get there, do that. Along the way, she finds out that they have been made of these shadow creatures. So the alpha of their pack is a bit of a strange dude. He's at one with these shadows from this realm, and he was breeding these creatures with women and creating these.
Having visions of that shadow baby in Game of Thrones.
Basically, kind of like that. Because they're, again, triggers and spoilers. I think we kind of we know with this sort of stuff when it gets a bit dark. Just be aware. So they leech off the mothers, and the mothers end up dying either because of the madness or anything that goes on with these crazy creatures around the place. But they're seen as abominations through their entire pack, because of what they are and how they were created and what they did to their families and stuff. And this is the thing, they are trying to open up a crack between Earth and this shadow realm, because every day they're in Earth, the shadow part of them fights and burns and pains them to get out. And then you realize when they end up getting to the shadow realm, it works the other way. So they want a vision, like a join between the two worlds, so they can feel a bit more at peace. And the alpha's telling them this will fix everything. We've got to open this rift up. But basically this rift, if it opens, it will just destroy the world. So as she's going to save herself, she finds this out, gets healed, gets ready to kill them, and then they double cross her again, and they all go. So she's then back chasing. So through the, I think it's a trilogy, this one. So through the 3 books, it's kind of an epically different story, so it goes one way and then it twists back, and you get so much bonding and so much of the we should but we really shouldn't, but we really should,
Okay.
and we
I was going
really
to ask
shouldn't.
that, like, how
Yeah,
did that work with all of like backstabbing, but they've still got the chemistry going on and like
this
the
is it. And then again,
inescapable.
yeah, and there is that again, that protective thing in there, so they have to go and see a witch to start making this potion to try
Yeah.
and kind of save her and Frost from whatever this disease is that's inside them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the witch betrays them, and then the shadows
Mm.
come, so they have to kind of all fight to save her and to save each
Yeah.
other and get the potion. And yeah, it's all very well done. It's very good.
Yes, sounds very twisty turny.
Again, mine always seem to be like that, but they're not always like that, but I
Mm.
seem to have picked them.
My next one's got some similarities that
Ooh.
in some ways, but so it's called Bewitching Her Monsters by, I think you pronounce it Eva Vale. I'm not sure. It's YVE. Would you pronounce that Eva?
Yes.
Eve? I don't know. I'm sorry, however that is pronounced, but it will be written in the notes so you can find it. So
Correct us.
so what appealed to me about this one was it's got a comedic element to it, as well as like it's sort of paranormal romance, monster romance type of thing. So Jade is a paranormal romance writer. She
Mm,
literally writes. I'm not even sure if she writes Why Choose or if she's just writing. I think she does. I think she does. But she's got a bit of a block. She's broken up with her horrible fiance.
good.
Yeah, as always. You always hate those ones.
Mm,
But yeah, she's a bit blocked. She wants to be writing, and she lives on her own but with lots of little pets and things like that. She knows that her grandmother called herself a witch, but her mother said that she was just crazy.
yeah,
You know
happens a
how it
lot.
goes.
Happens a
You know
lot.
how it goes. So she, refused that. So she goes out to a bar because she's forgotten to eat, and she's going to get like her usual. And she happens to look over, and there's this booth full of the most gorgeous men she's ever seen.
Always.
And as she's like, she surreptitiously tries to take a few photographs for inspiration. It gives her, yeah, she knows it's
Yeah.
not a great idea. It's a wrong
No.
thing to do. But she's writing some notes down. It has clearly helped unblock her. She's feeling very inspired now. How many of them are there? Four. Yeah, four of them. They all look really tense and miserable though, and she's wondering what's wrong, and it's got her thinking about it. And she's kind of picturing them as if they were paranormal creatures. What would they be? This, that, the other. And then she decides to leave. She goes home. But when she's getting back to her place, she notices this stray dog. And he's like kind of watching her and like following her a bit. She thinks, oh no, he's lost. I better take him in and try and find out if he's got a collar and things. So she invites him in. He looks a bit unsure. And she brings him in, and then like he's a really big dog. Like he's a wolf. It's one of these guys from the bar. He's a wolf
Positives.
shifter. Now, what's happened for them? You do get it from their perspectives too. So that's what's quite funny is that it does switch. And what was his name? I don't know if I wrote all of the men's name. Oh, Aaron. Aaron is the wolf shifter. Um, so he's gone to see if she's part of these people that are out. There's kind of a war going on between witches and paranormal creatures in the supernatural, of course. They're one of their best friends has just been murdered, and they think she might be linked to it because she was, basically scoping them out and
Yeah.
writing notes on them and taking photos. They think she's a
Oh,
spy on them. So he's gone in, but he didn't intend to go into her house. And she's basically treating him like, oh, little cute dog, let me get you some food. And he's like, I'm not doing this. He has to go take a dump in her back garden. It's been so long. She's like worried about him. She's like, I'm gonna have to take it to the vet. Why isn't he going to the toilet? He needs to go. It's funny. But also one of the other guys turns up. What's it? I think you like him. He's like a demon. I can't remember, I think his name's Magnus, but I don't have it written down. And so he comes to like ask her out on the pretense of like, oh, that's my friend's dog. He'll be back. He's gone away. His dog runs off sometimes. Do you want to go out? And then they don't really get on, and because he's suspicious. He's trying to figure. So there's a lot of like back and forth, and they all know she is a witch. She doesn't know she's a witch, and because she doesn't know she's a witch, they think she's pretending.
She's not.
She's not a witch. It's just you got to read it to understand it. But there's some really interesting creatures in it. So the guy, the one that's just been killed, I can't remember what he is, but he is able to go into dreams, and he's kind of been linked to her, which is something to do with the fiance as well, who's shifty and she doesn't really remember stuff. So there's quite an intricate little plot going on as well.
This is it.
But it's also like done in a kind of funny way, and then you only get her kind of having romantic relationships with like two and a bit I know which bit, we know what bit. And there's two more guys that are like, oh, there's the gargoyle one. There's a lovely gargoyle, and he doesn't like to be touched, and he freezes up when she touches him. She accidentally falls on him. Yeah, like literally, like turns so cool. Like, yeah. So it was really fun, and it's one of a series. I don't know how many are in the series, but I think there's at least one more. But yeah, that was quite a cool one. I enjoyed that.
Well, linking on to that, my last one, or my last proper one.
Your last main one, yes.
Yes. Is also very funny. I don't remember books and titles and things. I'm very bad at writing things down and awful at things like that, which is really a good trait for a podcast.
Yeah. for a writer as well. I'm not going to write things down. We're not good at talking. We're really like bigging ourselves up in this episode.
Well, no, I write lots of things down, and then I kind of I plan, and then I go off the plan.
Yeah.
And then I replan later. It's fun.
Yeah.
But this one, I remembered because of the first 2 chapters. I was just giggling away at this thing. So this is, I think I've mentioned it in one of the I'll read this, it's really good. This is 4 Psychos by Kirsty Cummings.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I did mention it. Basically, we have this main character who is a ghost, she thinks. So she's in this house, and she's been there for 5-ish years, a bit more than. She doesn't know who she is, why she's there, when she got there. In theory, she's just trying to count along.
Yeah.
What happened to get her there? She knows she can speak English. That's about it. She knows things when things happen. So she thinks she was somebody, but she doesn't know who. But she's in this house with these 4 men. And it basically starts with her watching these 4 men rail this one woman.
Yeah.
And she's been watching. So the thing is, she came about in this house where they lived there, and she wasn't fully like a ghostly form. She kept fading into nothing. And when she did that, she got quite painful. But when these men were near her, it kind of came back into like a slightly more, not human or touchable, but a fuller form.
Yeah.
So she started spending more time with them and realised if she was away from them for more than, say, 10-ish minutes, she'd start to fade again. So over time, she has
to follow them around.
Basically, this
sex.
Is it.
It's like,
and she kind of, she goes through the motions of like, when it first started happening, I'd try and turn away. But I'm now at the stage in my life that I've now realised I'm a shameless hussy, so I don't really care.
Yeah. What is judging?
This is it. Because this is it. She said, I'm my own conscience and I don't care, so I'll go with it. And when she first started seeing them, because she didn't really pay attention, she just wanted to be near them because they're like her lifeline. She just wanted to learn. She numbered them. So they're 1, 2, 3, and 4. So she's like watching them, and she's like, 3 will be done in a minute. He's selfish. He'll just bang and then gone. She goes, but 2's the nipple guy, so he's going to come in next. And 4, if it was me, 4 would finish me off, and I would make just 3 sit and watch and learn. And so she goes through all these motions with this thing. And yeah, we go a day or so and she's still following them around. She doesn't sleep. They do, but very fretfully. So she goes into each room every night, says goodbye, and watches the most fretful sleeper because she just kind of wants to watch over. I want to watch over him because watching him's a bit weird. And it's kind of like, yeah, I get it. But then some dude appears in the flat with this big sword and she gets very protective of him. So she shunts at him. She's watched Ghost, one of these women that they brought over. Yeah,
one
needed a bit more women.
Yeah.
So she's like, I like this woman. And she sat behind them watching Ghost with them. So she tries everything and she encompasses her fear and her protective nature. Shoves this dude and she can actually touch him. And she's never managed that in 5 years. So she shoves this chap. He drops his sword. He finally sees her, kind of like, who the hell are you? Where the hell did you come from? And then his head falls off his body because the dude's woken up, picked up his sword.
Oh, I see.
So she turns round and I think it was one sees her and she's like, oh, Jesus, you can see me. And then he tries to stab her with the sword.
Oh, no.
Because doesn't know who the hell she is. So the sword is kind of flying through her ethereal body. And she's like, well, that's a bit crap. I've kind of done all of this and waited for you.
I was
what
just
are you doing?
rescuing you.
And then all of these four come in. And she's watched them so long, she knows they're not human. They're immortal or something. Because they can she calls it siphoning. They can just jump from one place to another.
Oh, right.
And she's learnt that if they go away and she starts to fade, she goes with them and she touches their body with her thingy self and she can travel with them. So she knows they're not human. They all come in and they think that she's somehow linked to some evil that's going on in their lives. They've been allowed to do a trial, which they've never been allowed to do before. And they think all of a sudden now they've been allowed to do that and she's appeared and they can't touch her. They think she's some sort of bad guy.
Okay.
But she kind of, when she's suddenly seen by them, that's it. Her world has opened up. She's like, oh yeah, 2 does this, 3 does that. And they're like, who's this? What's going on? And she's
How
like,
does she know so much about us?
And then she's like, yeah, I've been here for 5 years. And they don't believe her. And then they're kind of talking in numbers going, she goes, well, 3 can sit over there. I don't like 3. He's my least favorite. I like 4. And then they're all there super interested, like going, but which one's 3? And she kind of goes, well, you're 4, Jude, you're my favorite. And then Jude's kind of a little bit like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And she doesn't give them away straight away. And they're all trying to figure out who 3 is, who this selfish lover is out the back somewhere.
Surely they'd know. It's not like they weren't there.
Well, yeah, basically. But they do figure
they were
who
concentrating on their own things.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, you figure out they were all separate. They were all born with souls. So what they are, they're reapers. So they go and get these dark souls. And they were all born separately and they've never been able to get it up until they've met each other, which is why they have to share women.
Okay.
But she's here now, this spirit going, well, I've seen you for 5 years. I've looked after you. I've been around you. I'm obviously the perfect woman for you. And she can change her clothes with thought.
Nice.
So she sat there talking to him about it. And then she's like, oh, because you like this. And she does this. And she remembers one of them bought lingerie for somebody and she just appears in it. So he's like, Jesus. And then she's like, you like leather. And then she puts his leather outfit on. And then they're all very suspect, thinking that you are definitely here to sabotage us.
Yeah.
And then they try and find ways to get her gone. So they're trying to find spell books to get rid of her spirit out of it. And then, she's obviously spent so much time hunkering after these chaps that she gets so depressed really quickly. And then she kind of it is really sad. It starts out so funny where she's sitting telling them all, calling them all by numbers, and then she sort of sits and mopes on the stairs. And basically she calls it leveling up. So every time something happens, more assassins come in and she fights them all off. And then every time something happens, she levels up. So then she can start touching things, and then she starts getting stronger and can start seizing powers and stuff. But then yet you realize these dudes are something linked to hell, and these trials are something linked to Lucifer and bringing these people in to his fold. But for some reason, this quad, all of the people in hell don't have a soul. So they've lost the soul, they've come down to hell, and then they've been trained to fight and do whatever. But these 4 do. They have souls, but they're still allowed in hell. and there's some weird anomaly behind them. They're the best fighters, the strongest, the fastest, always. And yet when she levels up, they start to level up, so they get even stronger.
Ooh.
Something's gone on with Lucifer. He's been a little bit off, and nobody kind of knows why. But they think people are tinkering with his brains and
He's
making
moody.
these trials really weird.
Moody
Yeah.
Lucifer.
Yeah. Aww. They're all a bit sad, but yeah, it's very good. But it links back to other series that we've done, because these 4 men are 4 horsemen.
Oh,
But this is then what you get.
see.
Again, 4 books. So it's
Yeah.
4 psychos, 3 something, 2 something, 1 something. So you kind of
Oh, I see.
figure
Yeah.
out as you go on who she is, how she's linked to these guys,
Mm.
why they've been kept out of the trials, why they still have their souls, who put it all together to put them back onto Earth with their souls. It's all tricksy turny,
Yeah.
but it was
But
so
yeah.
funny. Just
But
just
so was
sitting calling by
Pestilence,
numbers.
wasn't it?
You
That's
really
the thing. It's like so
Yeah.
dark, but so funny too.
This
at
is it. You
times.
need to inject the humor into it
You
to
do.
be able to sort of gloss over
But
some of the other
it's
stuff.
such a hard thing to do. That is really like to get it. I mean, and obviously humor doesn't work for everybody. Some people would probably read it and be like, that's not
Yeah, how can
funny.
you
How can you
what
be
did you
making jokes
Yeah.
when this is going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, if it hits the right note for some people, then it is
Yeah, I think you do.
enhances the experience.
Yeah, it really. Yeah, if I didn't laugh at certain things, you would just end up
You
just
do. They
falling
say
into a
that's the beauty
ball.
of comedy as well, don't they? Like having the contrast. It's like the if you can manage to link things or just look at them next to each other and see the absurdity of life and
Yeah,
stuff. It
gets you
definitely
through the
works.
day.
It does. Well, some people. Yeah. Special people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
Right.
hit me with it.
Okay, my last one is Queenie and the Krakens by, again, apologies if I don't pronounce this correctly, Alira Anaya Seres, I think. Okay. So this one is a motorcycle club one, but they're also shifters. So Queenie, Naomi is her real name, but it's Naomi Queen, and they all end up calling her Queenie. She is wanting to distance herself from the underworld and all of that stuff. She just wants to live her life and be normal. But then she ends up witnessing a murder between 2 motorcycle gangs. And the person she sees who's murdered, his gang come along and they basically take her back to protect her, but it's kind of against her will. So, the
Abduction.
Krakens, yeah, it could have been. It's that thing. Whenever we do tropes, we're always like, this one could fit in that one, and this one, and this one. I'm getting that with all of the books I'm reading. And I'm like, what one should I put it in?
Yeah.
Well, this
Where
one
does it
needs
fit
to happen
best?
first, so I'll do it here. So, yeah, she gets taken back to their motorcycle lair, whatever that's called.
Motorcycle lair. Their
Is there a
clubhouse,
name?
I'd imagine.
The clubhouse
The
makes me think of
clubhouse
like
sounds like
Mickey
Mickey Mouse.
Mouse. Yeah, it's like it's not no.
Then they sing the hot dog song.
Oh, don't! I'm picturing it now, and Mickey Mouse lends himself so easily to being sinister as well. So it's
With
like,
his little white gloves on.
go there. I know, don't. You just
Oh,
see them.
is it still a
No,
clubhouse? I'm sure it is.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They're
it's
usually a
well.
bar, isn't there?
Yeah,
There's usually a
normally it's a
bar
bar and a
and
club.
a garage and a stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so she's taken back there, and it's kind of this push pull between all different members of the gang, and like there's one in particular who's like he's their like interrogator, and he is like proper cuckoo. He's like really on edge, but he has this like really sweet relationship with one of the other ones. They've known each other since they were very small. You get it's all these lovely little theirs isn't a friendship dynamic. Theirs is like a friends with benefits dynamic, and then there's like the you know, the leader of the motorcycle gang, and there's like an age gap between them for that one. And then there's another one who she'd met before, who'd seen her in the club before she witnessed the murder, and they already had some chemistry. So there's all these different dynamics going on, but she's got a secret she's trying to hide too. And yeah, it's that thing of watching all of the pieces fall into place.
Yeah, falling into the right place.
As
Yes.
they do. But yeah, there's the politics of the gangs and who's after who, and they do shift. They are shifters. There is a magic involved. It's not like full on, like it could almost have been an Omega one without the shifting, but it's part of it. And it's probably one of the darkest ones I've read. It probably wouldn't be dark to you, but to me it was like some of it's like, again, content warnings and stuff like that, because like I said, she's kind of being held against her will, but then she's also kind of enjoying being with them, as it were. So yeah, that one's a good one to try as well.
Well, I will have to say, one of the darkest ones I've read, which isn't fantasy, was one that you recommended, which was Den of
Really?
Vipers, which is also
I didn't recommend it.
You said
I hadn't read it. You can't recommend a book you haven't read.
in my head. You
I mean,
suggest you should read this.
You can. Oh, there's this. It was only because I heard about it, and I was like, "Have you read this book?" And you took that to mean, "Go read this book." So, I've not read it.
Things.
I will never probably read that. Never say never, I suppose. But yeah.
Yeah, you say things to me. My brain just kind of hears what it wants to hear.
This is it.
Emma said, read this book. Okay.
Just blame me. You could blame me for all sorts.
Everything. Yeah. It's all good. Okay, so I have an honourable mention, which was one of the books I was going to pick.
Yeah.
Oh, again, I read it ages ago, but it's now been taken off Amazon and places of purchase because I think the covers are being redone and she's re-releasing it soon.
Oh, exciting.
So I couldn't get it because I read it yonks ago, and it is Signs of Cupidity by Raven Kennedy. Which again links to the other one. So yeah, she's a Cupid, and I can't remember loads about it, but she's kind of hidden out in the world, and I think it's like that she doesn't like the place she's in, but she's very snarky and she wants to have love rather than give the love, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, she spent so long giving this to other people and she's never had it for herself, but then obviously things happen and she gets it. But when it comes back out, I think it's in September at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get it again.
Well, she's had so much success. So is it going to be coming out with an actual publisher or still self-published?
I don't remember what it was. I think because the Guild Gleam stuff went with a publisher, so I'm assuming they've gone through everything. And she's fair play to her. She's gone up and off and new covers and everything.
That'd be interesting though to see like a traditional publisher doing Why Choose ones. I don't know how many people
Why Choose
do
and
them.
fantasy.
Yeah. So our plan is in motion. It's all happening.
It really is. You know, we're going to take
it's all down to us. All of it.
Obviously,
all of it taken off. Nothing to do with TikTok or anything like that.
No, they're with the amount that we're on there. But yes, so that was my little honourable mention. I have loads of them though, so if anybody does want any more, come and to me, because
just come along, because that's probably, I think I've probably read, maybe another half a dozen, and that's my full quota.
Well, basically, if you look at Kathryn Moon's ones, then you've got a good chunk of them anyway.
Most of them that I've read have been
Lillian Lark's fantastic ones, loads of stuff in there with them.
So many of them, but I've read
very good. Deceived by the Gargoyle, fantastic.
Yeah,
the
I have read that one
again. Good.
Read that one,
very good.
I do find, but it's good to find recommendations for ones that are like, you've read and you really enjoy, because I do find if I accidentally stumble into ones, mainly I find them a bit sticky. That's like,
as in literally
it's just a lot, and I'm like, I want to get out the mop and then just put the Kindle down.
I always think you need like the sheets need to be like made of industrial purpose cling film or something, because you've got to imagine the bed is just going to be, the mattress just after a week is just going to be dead.
some of the terminology as well you get in some Omegaverse, like the slick thing. It just
Gushing. It's gushing down my legs. That sounds
yeah,
problematic.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
like chub rub and then
again,
some.
no yuck in anyone's yum. Lots of people enjoy it, but
Mm,
that's kind of
too
why
much for
I
you.
think I find it difficult finding the ones that I'm like in a sea of stuff.
You're literal. Yeah, you.
Just wading through.
Yeah, yeah. The
Like,
word came into your
where
head and you went with it,
I just
and you
went with
even
it.
gave the actions for
That's
every.
it. It's done now. It's happening. We're not cutting the episode short. That's
No,
staying on
we are
there.
not. But
But
no,
yeah.
yeah, that
But
some of
no,
them
you
can
have
be.
introduced me to some like really good ones, and yeah, the Four Psychos, because you've mentioned that one a couple of times, but you've not gone into that much
Very good.
detail, and I'm like,
No, no.
wow, yeah, that sounds really cool and involved, and
Just
you know,
somebody being so blatant with it that she sits there in
yeah,
front of them and they can see her but they can't touch her. And she's just
that's
like, yeah,
like perfect, isn't it? You can say
yeah.
what you want. That's the dream,
And
you
yet
know.
they can't do any, well, they can do the one thing that just breaks her, but she doesn't think that. She's such an
Oh,
innocent thing and she is
yeah.
entirely theirs because they have been her life for all of that time, just wrapped around it, looking after them, protecting them. And she sits there when she's watching them have sex with this woman, she's like, I wish I could eat popcorn and just kind of throw it at the one who's not doing enough
Yeah,
work
yeah.
and that
Oi,
sort of stuff.
come on.
Yeah. And it
Put
is
your back
just,
into
oh,
it, mate.
yeah, you could imagine sitting next to her on the sofa going, yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
have done it that way. I
So
would have
many
picked that one.
things about how you described her and the references were just like, yeah, I can see
She's
that totally.
so clever. And she sits one time and watches Pinocchio. And because she can change her outfit, they come in and she's got like the yellow clogs and the red hat with the feather in. And they're
Why
like,
not?
what the hell are you
I
doing?
totally would.
She
I
does. And then she kind of has to disappear through the floor. And I think she's kind of then has to kick these clogs off.
would.
And I
Yeah.
think she when her body becomes corporal and she's trying to run in clogs. And it's
Oh.
just, oh, it's so well done. Just giggles. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we've not
On
digressed
that
in a bad
note,
way.
no, that's yeah. On that note of clogs and
Yes.
stuff, trying to run in clogs.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week with
Week
another
3.
trope.
Mm.
Which we are what we doing? We're doing curses, aren't we?
Curses.
But it's kind of I've been thinking of it as like dark magic. It's like curses and possessions and summonings and oh my.
Yes, you can't not say it.
You have to whenever you've got
Yeah.
like a lovely list like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
get
we'll
that
be
reference.
back
We will be. So go to all your social media places and find us. We are at SSF Rumcast, which is the TikTok and the YouTube and the Spotify.
Yes. All of
I think
that
that's
stuff.
all of them.
Yeah, I think so. We've got and if you've got any recommendations for any other white chooses that you think I should try based on what I've said I like, I'm always interested in expanding my horizons, definitely in many ways.
Yes,
So,
expanding many things in many ways.
Or if you've read these ones and what you think of them.
Yes, come and tell us.
Because I know some people are like, oh, it just sounds exhausting. And
it really does. You got cramps in your hands, your legs are tired.
But I mean, I think just also dealing with that many men, but these are fictional men, so it is
They
different.
are. So there's usually one that cooks really well, and there's one that
there's usually one that's really rich that says, "Don't worry."
There's one that's an assassin, so they will kill all your enemies.
One with a magic touch.
I thought you were going to say something else then.
What did you think?
Magic tongue. Magic tongue.
That too.
That probably as well.
Tongue, magic tongue, horns. You know, anything you could want, you can find.
All the better to guide you. Yes.
Yes.
So join us next week while we get possessed.
Yeah. Bye.